Hey guys, it's Chloe. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you all had a good holiday period. It's the new year, which means new language goals. So I'm taking the same approach this year that I adopted last year, which is setting quarterly goals rather than whole year goals. I just find it a lot less overwhelming when things are kind of shorter term, because usually when I set whole year goals, by the time it gets to like summer, I've forgotten what I'm meant to be doing, so quarterly goals is the way to go. So this year I will be studying 5 languages, which does sound like a lot, maybe it is a lot, but I've got my little plan all set out. So I will be studying Japanese, Korean, Mandarin Chinese, Spanish and Tagalog. So Spanish and Tagalog are still relatively new to me. Japanese, Korean and Chinese we're just continuing on with. So kind of across the board I'm going to be focusing a lot on reading and vocabulary specifically. Obviously that's not to say I won't be doing anything else, but vocabulary definitely will be the focus. I'm going to do a lot more reading to kind of help me with learning vocabulary, so that's why I'm kind of doing them together. So I haven't really set like strict checklist goals, but I do want to try every week to write something in each language. I have been doing more writing in Japanese as part of my italki lessons. I'm working through Quartet with my tutor, and that has like a writing section for each chapter, but I also have, ta-da, language journal. Shameless self-promotion, but yeah, there's basically 50 prompts in here, and then a whole load of notepaper. So I'm going to try and do a prompt every week. I'm going to try and do a bit in each language. Obviously I'll be able to write more in Japanese than Tagalog, but I'm going to try and do a little bit for each language. Like, I'm not going to try and do a page for every language because that's just not going to happen, but Japanese maybe aim for like 10 sentences, and then kind of as my language levels get lower, write less sentences. So the first prompt in here is introduce yourself, so that's pretty straightforward, so I'll try and do that this week because it's the first week, and then yeah, just follow through, write a entry each week. That's kind of a yearly goal because it's 50 prompts for 2 weeks in the year, but you know, short term Q1 goals, see how that goes. And then of course I've got my trusty Polyglot Planner. This is a new one for Q1 of this year, so I have written in my little colour key for my languages, and I've decided this year, instead of having like a long list of goals to achieve, I was watching Polyglot Progress's goals video, and she was talking about doing time-based goals, which is something that I'm gonna try and adopt. So I've got 5 languages that I'm learning, and they're like different priority levels. So Japanese is my top priority. I'm gonna try and study that every day, so 7 days a week, for between 1 and 2 hours. I'm gonna aim for 2 hours, but 1 hour would be kind of like the minimum. And then each day I'll do a different one of the 4 other languages for an hour. So Korean I'm planning to do 3 times a week, so that's 3 hours each week. Spanish twice a week, so that's 2 hours each week. And then Chinese and Tagalog both for 1 hour each week. So I have written in, I don't know if you can see, I've written in each day what language I'm planning to do. So Mondays and Fridays Spanish, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays Korean, Wednesdays Chinese, Sundays Tagalog, and then every day Japanese. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously with it being the first week, this will kind of be a trial period, and then obviously I can adapt things as we go. Another thing I'm trying is, instead of just tracking my time, I'm gonna try and plan my time more ahead of time. So in the Polyglot Planner we have these time trackers. So what I would usually do is I'll have like in the task section I'll have like the things I want to study, and then I just kind of do those whenever, if I do them at all, and then track the time I spent on those study tasks. But for this quarter, or at least the next couple of weeks, I want to try and kind of block off time beforehand and say, right, this is when I'm gonna do my Japanese study, this is when I'm going to do my Korean study, just to kind of encourage me to get into more of a routine, because November and December I really fell off with my language studies. Like, I just didn't have the energy, I didn't want to think about doing anything. But new year, new me, so we're gonna try and build some good habits, I guess. And as well, if there's other things that I need to do, like I've got a lot of things to do for like Etsy and things like that, I can allot myself time to do that task instead of leaving everything to the last minute, which is what I usually do. So as for kind of language specific goals, I'm hoping by the end of this quarter I'll actually be in Japan. So my Japanese goals are mainly, well, like I said before, focusing on vocab. I've got a lot of vocab to learn. Me and my tutor should finish the Quartet 1 book by the end of this month, and then after that I'm thinking of just doing conversation lessons. So I'm not planning to study any more grammar for this quarter. I'll be reviewing the things we have covered, and obviously if I come across anything new I won't just ignore it, but I'm not going to be kind of working through grammar textbooks. So focus is very much on vocabulary. I want to finish all the Quartet 1 vocabulary. I want to go back over the intermediate Japanese, integrated approach to intermediate Japanese vocabulary. I've got a N3 memorized course I'm working through, so I want to kind of make sure that I'm getting through all of those. And then again, reading, I've got a lot of reading books I would like to finish, because obviously I want to do more reading as part of my study, but also more just casual reading. So I've got the readable Japanese books, parallel text short stories in Japanese. I've got Kiki's delivery service in Japanese, which I still need to finish, so kind of casual reading as well as study reading. I'm not doing any JLPT prep because I have no immediate plans to take the JLPT anymore, with it being cancelled last year and hopefully starting language school this year. I'm not really planning to take it yet, so we'll see how that goes. For Korean, again, more vocabulary, more reading. I want to finish off the books that I was meant to finish last year. So I've got I think the English title is Fun and Fast Korean, or Fast and Fun Korean, and the reading, reading Korean with culture or something. So I want to finish off those books. I've got book 2 to finish off for both those series. I haven't quite decided yet what I want to do once I finish those books for Korean, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And again, I've got a memorise course for the, 2000 Korean words for beginners, the yellow one, so working my way through that. And then Spanish has moved up from a double language to one of my main languages, so I am steadily working my way through the basic Spanish book. That's really the only resource I'm using at the moment. Yeah, for Spanish I'm just gonna go through basic Spanish textbook, and I'm really trying to actually learn everything as I'm going through, because I'm notorious for kind of going through a textbook and then having to go through it again 2 or 3 times, because I'm not actually taking anything in, or I've taken very little in. So instead of creating more review for me later, I'm going to try and make sure that I'm confident on everything the first time round. Because if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've restarted Japanese and Korean 3 or 4 times each, because I just kind of rush through and don't take anything in. So we're doing it right with Spanish this time. So there's 50 lessons in my workbook. They're very short, they're only 3 or 4 pages each, so it doesn't take me long to get through them, and there is review chapters throughout. So I'm thinking this quarter maybe aiming to finish 15 lessons and the review sections, because there's usually a review chapter after every 5 lessons, so that means essentially it's 5 lessons and a review section each month, which is more than enough time for me to actually learn it all, especially the vocab. There's some long vocab lists in there. It's very vocab heavy, so I can actually learn the new words. For Chinese and Tagalog aren't really my focus at the moment. They're very much kind of just a little bit here and there, so I don't really have set goals for them. I don't know if I could really read all that much in Chinese. I do have the Path to Chinese magazines, which are really helpful. Past HSK1, I'm not sure I could really read the articles. Yeah, again, focus on vocabulary and characters. So I have the learning Mandarin Chinese characters books. I've got volumes 1 and 2, so continue working through those. And I've got a big kind of proper book size vocab book for the HSK. It's HSK 1 to 4, I think, of the current system. So I'll continue studying with that as well. Tagalog, I don't really actually have any resources for Tagalog. I'm mostly using the Mondly app, and I'll probably use some more video lessons on YouTube. I don't know what the channel's called, but the Language Pod 101 Tagalog version. I'll watch through some more of those videos. But yeah, that's it, I think. So yeah, I'm mainly focusing on vocabulary kind of across the board and reading. and writing, I guess. That all kind of ties into vocabulary. And yeah, kind of focusing more on time-based goals rather than kind of checklist of things to do, so we'll see how that goes. And I'd love to hear any goals that you've set for yourself for this year or this quarter. I'll do an update video kind of around end of March, beginning of April time, probably beginning of April time, with how this quarter went and what I'm planning for next quarter. Who knows, maybe I'll be filming from Japan if they decide to let us in. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you next time.